Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobby Capucci, and this is Daily Drop number 28. All right, so we got two articles tonight. The first one is from the New York Post. It's Trevor Noah interviewing Hillary Clinton and asking her tongue-in-cheek how she got away with killing Jeffrey Epstein. So obviously he doesn't mean it. You know, he doesn't think she truly killed him, but it's pretty funny anyway. A pretty funny headline. It's been going around today. It's one of the hotter headlines. And then the second article we have is about Ghislaine Maxwell. But first, let's read this one from the New York Post about Trevor Noah and his interview with Hillary Clinton. A vast right-wing conspiracy still hounds Hillary Clinton, who was jokingly asked by The Daily Show host Trevor Noah how she managed to kill pedophile Jeffrey Epstein in a Manhattan jail cell. I have to ask you a question that has been plaguing me for a while. How did you kill Jeffrey Epstein? Noah asked, drawing laughter from Clinton, 71, and the New York studio audience on Thursday. Because you're not in power, but you have all the power. I really need to understand how you do what you do, because you seem to be behind everything, and yet you do not use it to become president, he continued. Honestly, what does it feel like being the boogeyman to the right? The host asked the former presidential candidate and the ex-Secretary of State. Well, it's a constant surprise to me, responded a chuckling Clinton, who was appearing alongside her daughter Chelsea, 39, to promote their new joint project, The Book of Guts You Women. Because the things they say, and now, of course, it's on steroids with being online, are so ridiculous beyond any imagination that I could have, she said, and yet they are so persistent in putting forth these crazy ideas and theories. Honestly, I don't know what I ever did to get them so upset. For real? You don't know what you ever did to get people so upset? I mean, how about all the downright lies and nonsense, and you're literally more hated than Donald Trump. Let that sink in for a minute. You lost the election to Donald Trump. How messed up is that? A career politician, this dude barely dips his toe in, and he waxes you, right? Oh, but I won the popular vote. That's not how the country works. You got crushed by a political, neophyte. A variety of conspiracy theories emerged after Epstein was found dead in his cell at the Federal Metropolitan Correctional Center while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. Among them was that he had been murdered at the behest of the Clintons as the hashtag Clinton body count trended. A state medical examiner has concluded that Epstein committed suicide by hanging on August 10th. Look, I don't mean to laugh, but that's funny as hell. I mean, how do you have your name associated with every effed up thing that happens in the country pretty much? Anytime someone commits suicide, that hashtag runs. And look, I don't buy into the fact that Clinton and the Clintons have that much power. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're movers and shakers, but they're not top of the totem pole people. They're useful idiots, basically. And, you know, they make for a nice target, there's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, I don't think that Hillary Clinton was running a trafficking scheme with Jeffrey Epstein. What I do think is that Bill Clinton probably got caught up in the blackmail portion of it. That's definitely possible and likely. Anyway, a famed pathologist, Dr. Michael Bodden, who was hired by Epstein's brother to investigate the death, rekindled speculation about conspiracies when he said on Fox and Friends this week that the autopsy results were more consistent with homicide than suicide. But New York City Chief Medical Examiner Barbara Sampson quickly rejected Bodden's claims, stating she stands firmly behind her conclusion that Epstein's death was a suicide. Oh boy, that's funny as hell. Sorry, I had to read that because that's funny as hell. I mean, the fact that he would even ask her that, I mean, come on, that's hilarious. All right, and the next article, a lot more serious, obviously, is from CNBC. The headline is Jeffrey Epstein's alleged madam, meaning procurer of young girls and partner in raping young girls. Ghislaine Maxwell was a guest at a Jeff Bezos hosted retreat in 2018, report says. Wow. So now we have Bill Gates and Bezos connected to this, huh? Perfect. Hell of a guy, this Jeff Bezos, obviously. We could believe everything about that the Washington Post runs about Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, that's obviously a great source of information, considering this guy has nothing to lose, right? Yeah, okay. The women alleged to have been a procurer, accused child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein was reportedly a guest in 2018 at an exclusive literary retreat hosted by Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon. Vice.com, citing two sources, reported Friday that the woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, attended the campfire retreat last year. All right, let's just pause right there. All right? You be Jeff Bezos for a minute, okay? You have all the money in the world. You have all the power in the world, basically. You can't tell me that you don't know what people are saying about Ghislaine Maxwell. All right? And we're in an age where I thought credibly accused and the whole Me Too movement was super important to everybody. Why not in this case? So you have this guy, has a campfire literary retreat, and Maxwell gets invited somehow. Now, this is in 2018, years after she was named in the affidavits. She got the plea deal. What did she need a plea deal for if she wasn't guilty of anything? And now you have Bezos, knowing all of this stuff, hanging out with her, inviting her to this retreat? Why? What do you have to gain by that? Gross, dude. Absolutely disgusting. One of those sources said that Maxwell had attended 3 such campfire retreats hosted by Bezos and Amazon. There you go. So there you go. Another hypocrite, another guy. Democracy dies in the darkness. Look, it's not even the Washington Post. It's I don't even know what it is at this point. It's trash. The Inquirer is probably more credible at this point than the Washington Post. Vice reported that Maxwell, 57, went to the 2018 iteration of the highly secretive retreat with Scott Borgerson, a tech firm CEO. That visit would have occurred before Epstein's most recent arrest in July this year on federal child sex trafficking charges. It doesn't matter. So what? Because, he was arrested 2 times, but 2 times is my limit. That's it. If you diddle children 2 times, we can't be associated with each other anymore. What? How about no tolerance policy for anyone that hurts women or children? I mean, is that asking too much? Jeff Bezos? In 2008, Epstein pleaded guilty in Florida state court to prostitution-related charges, one involving a minor, and ended up serving 13 months in jail. Boy, he really did some hard time, huh? Really did some hard time. He spent much of that time free on work release, but had to register as a sex offender after completing his sentence. Oh, big punishment for this guy. I bet you didn't even, so frustrating. BuzzFeed News reported in September that Epstein, along with Bezos, Tesla CEO Elon Musk, Google co-founder Sergey Brin, and other technology executives had attended a dinner during a TED conference in California in March 2011. All right, so remember all those names, okay? Bezos, hanging out with Epstein makes him a scumbag. Elon Musk hanging out, makes him a scumbag. Sergey Brin, another scumbag. All these guys with big mouths about the Me Too movement and how they're champions of women and champions of those who can't defend themselves. And yet here they are associating with the biggest scoundrel maybe in the history of this sort of thing that we've ever seen in American politics and in American top culture. Perhaps not the worst ever, but the worst we've ever seen. Amazon did not immediately return a request for comment from CNBC about the report. Lawyers for Maxwell did not immediately return a call seeking comment. The Daily Mail reported in August that Maxwell was living at Borgerson's mansion in Massachusetts, but he told CNBC at the time that she is not at my house. I don't know where she is. Yeah, okay, whatever. Why was she living at your house? What were you up to? Once again, circles back to what I've been talking about. How isn't this a RICO case? If this was a RICO case, all these people would be rounded up already. It would be a free-for-all. Slap RICO charges on these people. We waste money on all sorts of other crazy nonsense, right? We pulled baseball players in front of Congress over steroids. Really? You ain't pulled none of these people in front of Congress? Stop wasting my money. Maxwell's controversial involvement with Epstein has been public knowledge for years. Maxwell, daughter of the late media tycoon and fraudster Robert Maxwell, has been accused by multiple women of acting as one of the procurers of girls and women for Epstein. One employee of Epstein's called Maxwell the lady of the house, referring to his mansion in Palm Beach, Florida. Some accusers have also said Maxwell at times participated with Epstein in abusing them sexually. Do you hear that, Jeff Bezos? Are you listening, Jeff Bezos? Second richest man in the world now? Why are you hanging out with Ghislaine Maxwell? Why isn't she a pariah? You don't need to hang out with people like this. But here you are, and here we are, and now we have to ask the questions. Why are you fellow travelers, Bezos? What were you doing with Maxwell? You don't think people like her are disgusting? Can you go on record, please? It's a shame Andrew Breitbart isn't alive anymore, because he'd be going crazy over this case right now. She denied the allegations and has not been criminally charged. However, federal authorities are continuing a criminal investigation into Epstein's alleged sex trafficking of dozens of underage girls in the early 2000s. In 2010, Maxwell attended the wedding of Chelsea Clinton, the daughter of former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. 2010, 2 years after Epstein was not only arrested, but he was convicted. And here the Clintons are inviting this lady to an invite-only wedding of their daughter. But they're not close. They knew nothing. They saw nothing. They have no idea. You're into conspiracy theories if you're listening to this show. But you know what I say to that. You won't know what my answer is to that. We've entered the cover-up stage. Conspiracies are long and gone. You're not going to confuse us and throw a smokescreen with the whole suicide situation or did he die in prison. We're going to cover that, but that's not what we're going to focus on here. Okay? Nice try, but we're not focusing just on that here. Ghislaine Maxwell needs to be held to account, and these other people that are enabling them need to be held to account. So nice try with the smoke screens and the whole hubbub about the whole entire autopsy. Not falling for it, though. Epstein, a former friend of both Bill Clinton and President Donald Trump in the case lodged in July, was accused of abusing girls with the assistance of unnamed co-conspirators at his massive townhouse in Manhattan, as well as his Palm Beach residence. He had pleaded not guilty in the case. Unnamed co-conspirators. You chewing on that right now, guys and girls? Biting down on that nice and hard like it's a mouthpiece? Unnamed co-conspirators. Why are they unnamed still? We have leaks everywhere else, but there's no leaks here. Oh, why? Because it doesn't drive home a political point, or is it politically damaging to somebody? Jeff Bezos certainly has some dice in the game, huh? I've been saying this from the beginning. We can't trust the outlets because they're owned by a few different people, and those people are all in bed with people like Epstein. Epstein, 67, died on August 10th while being held without bond at a federal jail in Lower Manhattan. The New York City Medical Examiner's office found that Epstein killed himself by hanging. At the time of his death, Epstein was being held in a protective unit of the jail, and the prior month had been found unresponsive on the floor of his cell with marks on his neck. Once again, a man that, quote-unquote, tried to kill himself, why was he left alone, not on suicide watch? These are just questions that need to be answered. But what they're trying to do is trying to confuse us now. They want people focusing on his manner of death so they can call the whole entire thing a giant conspiracy. That way they can wrap it up with a nice little bow and punt it and not have to worry about it in the mainstream media anymore. So don't fall for their tricks. Stay focused on what we were focusing on. The blackmail, the scandal, the enablers. The other stuff is fine. It's all part of it. But eye on the prize, folks. Eye on the prize. Dr. Michael Baden, a renowned forensic pathologist hired by Epstein's brother, said this week that the injuries found in Epstein's neck were extremely unusual in suicidal hangings and are more consistent with the injuries found in a homicide by strangulation. There's evidence here of homicide that should be investigated to see if it is or isn't homicide, Bodden said. Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Barbara Sampson said in response that she firmly stands by her findings in the autopsy report. The circumstances of Epstein's death remain under investigation by several federal agencies. In court, documents released in August, a woman named Virginia Joffrey said Maxwell directed her as a teenager to have sex with Prince Andrew of Britain, former Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell, former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, hedge funder Glenn Dubin, late MIT scientist Marvin Minsky, modeling company founder Jean-Luc Brunel, the owner of a large hotel chain, and another prince. All of them, with the exception of the late Minsky, denied Joffrey's claims. So, the question remains, folks. If these other dudes, these other millionaires, guys like Glenn Dubin, Jean-Luc Brunel, Bill Richardson, George Mitchell, if these dudes are all accused of this, right? What makes us think that Bezos is not involved in anything sinister? I mean, not saying he was involved with what Epstein was involved in, but that's really not the point. You're obviously enabling him. You're enabling the behavior. If you're accepting Ghislaine into your atmosphere, you're accepting him. We all know that. You know that. Don't be a fool. And then certainly don't stand on your soapbox and tell the rest of us how you care about women, or how you care about the unprotected, or you care at those most at risk, because you do not. If you did, you would purge Ghislaine Maxwell from every aspect of your life. But no. Nah, you're too busy writing hit pieces, taking $600 million contracts from the CIA. I see you, Jeff Bezos. Now you're on the radar, though. Now you've been mentioned. Okay? And even though I knew about you and I knew that you were, hanging out with Epstein, until it comes out in the mainstream media, I don't really talk about it. You know why? Because I don't want nobody to talk about, you're talking about conspiracies. I'm not talking about nothing that's a conspiracy on these daily drops ever. Just read the articles. I might give you my opinion as I curate through the news, but these articles are right there for you to read. The question is, will you read between the lines, or are you going to be led around? I don't plan on ever being a subject, folks. You're looking at and talking to a citizen of the greatest nation ever. That's why it's so maddening that our justice system has turned to what it has turned to. Loopholes for this, loopholes for that. One tier for them, one tier for us. You can't do this, but I can. Pay your jaywalking ticket, but I'm going to go and rob the whole entire country of its wealth. And yet, nobody is ever held accountable. Nobody is ever brought before the man. Here we are, though. We're at a point, finally, where I think enough people, just not even just in America, around the world, have had enough. They're saying, God damn, I can't take it anymore. And they're ready to stand up and they're ready to flip the table over. And the masters of the universe in Silicon Valley are elected officials that are playing games. Everybody needs to take note. The American people will not take it forever. And this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Our children? Are you kidding me right now? Young girls? Broken homes who you go and you poach? Nah, we're not going to accept it. I'm certainly not going to accept it, Jeff Bezos. Stop hanging out with people like Ghislaine Maxwell. All right? Hope everybody enjoyed this episode. I will be back tomorrow night with another daily drop.